You go. Hey, I got a topic for us, and they just come to me. Uh, God only knows where thoughts come from, but I'm going to start off with sort of a heavy way of saying it, but please take it in the right way, and that is, uh, I'm going to use the phrase spiritual dementia. Now, dementia is no laughing matter. It's not light. And I just lost a family member to it. And so it seems to be a veritable plague upon the planet, dementia itself, and the degradation of human brains. And it's that's a heavy topic. And yet, what I'm going to talk about this week is meant to be as absolutely lighthearted and liberating and joyful as I can imagine. And it's the concept of let's go on spiritual vacation this week, because there comes a time where no amount of our personal effort, and all of us are trying, all of us, I know all of you, and I know uh, all the people that I engage with, and my students and my friends, we're all scrambling and trying and to do the worldly thing. And all of us to some degree are trying to wake up out of a spiritual dementia, a spiritual forgetting. And it's important to remember one of the greatest stories in all of the world scriptures is the great story of the five afflictions that the great sages, saints, and masters told thousands of years ago. This story is probably 2,500 or 3,000 years old, and yet it rings as true today. And frankly, it will always ring true, because in truth and in spirit, only the smallest fraction of ourselves is here in this world. What do I mean by that? What I mean by the entity that you call you and the entity that I call me, and all of us running around banging into each other thinking that we're our individual names and our individual stories, is such an impossibly small fraction of who we really are. In other words, this is simply the case. If we're going to be infinite spiritual souls and we're going to dive into the finite three-dimensional world that we live in, it's simply the case that we are going to do a staggering amount of forgetting of who we are. It's simply necessary. It's how the game is played, might be one way to put it. And in that forgetfulness, what comes along with forgetfulness, when we forget who we are, the great yogis of antiquity called that the greatest enemy of all. There could be nothing more damaging or degrading or demoralizing to we spiritual beings other than to forget our spiritual nature. So many spiritual stories around the world, the list could be increased ad infinitum. Clearly, one of the greatest ones in my estimation is the prodigal son or the prodigal daughter, but this great forgetting that we do, and then we get mixed up in the world, and with that come the afflictions, and the afflictions are essentially concomitant extensions of fear. All of us we're dying of fear, basically fear, anxiety, worry, and dread. And the only way out is to overcome spiritual dementia. In other words, to remember who we are. And one of the ways we can do that, curiously enough, is by not trying so damn hard. And so this week, the assignment is spiritual vacation. And another great spiritual master said, the time comes to lay down in the lilies of the field and relax, and easy does it, and turn it all over to the infinite part of ourselves. We are obviously finite mortal beings. We are obviously limited in our capacity. And we look into the world and we see certain instances of others who are so strong and powerful and gifted and talented, and they can do this and they can do that. And yeah, that's true. And yet we're all finite, and all of us have a limit of what we can do and what we can We cannot force the infinite to do our bidding. So this week, and it's mid-July, and mid-July is characterized, it's the 1950s. You get in the station wagon with mom and dad, and you go see, what do you go see? You go see the Grand Canyon, you go see Mount Rushmore. But the message coming through to me is spiritual vacation. Relax, let go, turn all of our problems over to the infinite. Now, am I saying don't get out of bed, don't take care of the details? No, but let's do remember what our biggest problem is our forgetfulness of our true nature. And in that forgetfulness, the amount of stress and tension and effort that we engage, of course, with good motive, to sort of force our way back into our true nature and force our way back into remembrance and force our way back into liberation and the freedom of who we really are. It's coming. Our day is coming. Our ship is coming in. And for some reason, the message is coming to me this week. And I'm sure that you'll hear it as well, to take a spiritual vacation, let go, let God, so to speak. And every time you have the chance to relax, to sit back and gaze at the goodness of life, to count your blessings, maybe to take a nap, maybe to simply pray to remember who we really are, then that's one of the ways that we can make the greatest progress. And of course, we want to make our spiritual progress, don't we? But how can we? You cannot, by taking thought, add 1 cubit to our measure. It says in one of the most astonishing world scriptures, there's nothing we can do to compel the universe anymore. There's nothing we can do to become more than who we already are. And enjoy your vacation this week. We'll expand the topic. Have a beautiful day. Relax.